Ouachita One Table. Ouachita One Table podcast is a deeper discussion of issues facing our business communities. Over this series, we'll invite community leaders in businesses, the arts, nonprofits, culture, and government as we discuss the issues that strike at the heart of the Chamber's mission for the greater good of our parish. Topics such as workforce development, education, quality of life, economic development, and more. Ouachita One Table. This podcast is a partnership project of the Monroe and West Monroe, West Ouachita Chambers of Commerce and was produced by Godly Works Productions in the Louisiana Catalyst Podcast Studios at the Benoit Community Center. Now, here are your hosts, Roy Heatherly and Christopher Kelly.
Hey everyone, it's Ouachita One Table, a deeper discussion of business news in our area. I'm Christopher Kelly with the West Monroe, West Ouachita Chamber, joined as always with my fantastic comrade,
Roy Heatherly with the Monroe Chamber of Commerce, and Chris, is this a fabulous day for Ouachita One Table?
Fabulous day.
Fabulous describes our guest,
Yes.
Doesn't it?
Yeah, it's the headline news of the day.
Absolutely.
Hey, y'all.
It's Dr. Wendi Tostenson from Louisiana Delta Community College, Vice Chancellor
Vice-Chancellor of Education and Student Services, and what that fancy title really means
There we go, I
is
like that.
I'm responsible for students and the curriculum and the coursework and making sure everybody gets enrolled and graduated.
and more importantly, from the workforce perspective, in a job that is meaningful to
Absolutely.
them, pays well, gives them a lifelong trajectory.
Absolutely. I mean, it's really more focused on what are we doing to create workforce opportunities for our students and for our region. And the thought behind the change in the title was really to break down all the silos so our students had seamless transition, regardless if it's workforce, adult education, credit, non-credit, short-term, long-term, if they want to transition over to a four-year university, having those partnerships, but really having one person kind of guide that so we don't get bogged down in all the
Eliminating
barriers.
silos.
Right.
I love that.
That's
That's
right.
our
So
mantra.
we have had some really great, passionate guests. On the passion meter, I would put you right there at the top.
Awesome.
So
Turn it
tell-
up to 11.
Okay, I can
So tell us about why you're so passionate
Sure.
about what you do and how you got here.
All right, so my story is a little bit unique as far as higher education. I was a student in college that was carrying around the backpack that I was either on academic probation or getting off academic probation. I mean, I just didn't share that with my parents because I went to college and I all of a sudden heard about FERPA, and I realized that they didn't have to see my grades. Did not know that. Kids don't do that. But I took advantage of a lot of social opportunities. I was the self-appointed social chairman at the University of Georgia. I was at the beginning of every event, and I stayed to the end of every event to make sure everybody had a great time. And people told me that my transcript wouldn't matter, my grades wouldn't matter as long as I graduated. And y'all, I believe that. And then I graduated. I kind of had to beg my way out, but I did. I graduated, and then I was a stay-at-home mom. Side note, kept waiting for the check to come in the mail. It didn't. I don't know if y'all know this, but you do not get paid to be a stay-at-home mom.
Okay.
Good news.
Yes, so just in case you were wondering.
Yeah.
And as our children were getting a little bit older, I decided, hey, Wendi, maybe it's time you do something other than raise phenomenal individuals. And so I wanted to go back to school, get my master's.
Hey, let's name those phenomenal individuals real quick.
Lyle,
Yeah.
he's 24. He just started his first big boy job ever.
Yeah, Lyle.
That's right.
And
He's
then
off the
two.
payroll. And then Mary Logan, she is getting her master's degree. And then Lucas is the baby, and he is in undergrad in engineering.
And I met your daughter the other
Yeah,
day.
she's
and
pretty awesome.
She's like you. She's pretty awesome.
Don't tell her
And-
that.
No, I did. I said I
She's
would
like,
have.
I'm not like my mom.
I said I would have known you're Wendy's daughter anywhere, and she said, "What?"
So after we decided I was going to go back to school, I had to use my transcript.
Ooh.
And y'all, I had a hard time. And I think and I didn't realize this until after I got into higher ed, the stigma of failure that had followed me for so many years. I had not been successful. I had not done what I was supposed to do, and I had not had anybody to help me navigate it. But more importantly, I didn't ask for any help because I didn't want anybody to know I needed help.
Right.
So after I got out of graduate school, I did have to talk my way in. His name was Dr. John Anderson at West Georgia in Carrollton, Georgia, and I will have to tell you huge kudos to him because I would have never become who I am without his belief in me. And I was in probation my first semester in my master's program. And I remember we were in a group meeting, and he said, Wendi, I'm not worried about you because if your social abilities are anything like your academic abilities, you're going to be fine. You know, you're going to be fine. And so after I graduated, I had applied to a couple of different career paths. Higher education was like not even on the forefront for me. And I got an interview at a community and technical college right in my hometown in Moultrie, Georgia. And it was in career services. And it was working with business and industry partners to place our graduates after they completed. And I totally fell in love with it. I love the fact that we were taking people and changing not just their lives, but their families' lives, generationally making a huge impact and offering something that they didn't even know that was possible. And from career services, I moved into financial aid, and I always joke and say that I served time in financial aid, but y'all, I went from being the girl that everybody loved to come to her office to I was the financial aid director, and not everybody loved me so much.
Right.
And then I moved over to the registrar's office, and I was responsible for curriculum development and graduation retention efforts. But that's really when I started realizing the role that community and technical college plays in our communities, in our areas. I had gone to a traditional 4-year university. Go Dogs!
Did they play football there?
They do, and they win national championships. Really? It's amazing. But I didn't know how important the community and technical college was because I had not been exposed to it, and I literally fell in love with it. And I realized that I had missed out on the biggest kept secret in the world. And if I can share that with everybody, then my mission is accomplished.
So more importantly than that, and the conversation we were just having, is the misconception of those technical pathways in community college. You know, it's, you're going to go to 2 years. Oh, you're going to the university?
Right.
You know, it's a huge dichotomy, and it starts with perceptions.
Absolutely.
And it starts with what maybe our parents had for us and their perceptions too, perpetuating through. So now you're here. You're at Louisiana Delta Community College here in Monroe, Louisiana, and serving an entire region.
11 parishes.
And perception-wise, what perceptions have changed for you since you've been here?
So I think that I realized we still have work to do.
Sure.
We still have conversations to be had. We have got to put value on our students coming out of college with a career path and workforce opportunities debt-free. If you can go to a 2-year college and you can create a pathway in 2 years or less and be almost 100% financially funded and leave with no debt.
Yes, that's amazing.
Generationally game changer.
Correct, generationally. And these are great job opportunities. I mean, we're talking about jobs that are low end, starting $17, $18, $19, $20 an hour with health care benefits, long-term career opportunities, long-term goals. I think that the conversation has to be had at a much younger age and what is really out there. We've got some really cool programs, but what does industrial maintenance mean? What does instrumentation mean? I'm not so sure about process technology. Talk to me about IT world. What is that?
If you ask little kids, and I say this all the time, Paula Poundstone has this great joke about why don't we ask little kids what they want to be when they grow up? Because adults have no idea either.
Right.
And so we ask little kids what they want to be, and it's doctor, lawyer, that kind of professional trade. But what's really in our area that's probably higher paying on the average for time invested is a plumber, an electrician, process technology, all these things that maybe you have no conception that are out there, but they're literally running your world in the background.
Right.
They're making sure your water is on and everything's there.
So one of the things that we have really focused on, and y'all, I'm going to have to send a huge shout out to our friends at ULM. We're creating some pretty impressive partnerships with them where we can take a student from K-12 all the way to VCOM and graduate, but there are also exit points depending on what that student wants to do at that time in their life. And so having those career pathways and students understanding that I don't have to do it all at one time. I can start and stop. I think of education as this interstate where you've got on ramps and exit ramps. And I don't know if y'all know this, but sometimes life happens.
Right.
And you have to stop for a little bit and you need to get off. Or maybe when you get off and you took that detour, that was exactly where you needed to be. So maybe that long-term goal that you thought you had for a career isn't.
Right. It evolves.
Right. And you realize, oh, process technology with a 2-year degree and I'm making $87,000 a year. Okay, I'm good. I'm good.
But that's game changing. So I was literally at the university for a minute and a half. I won't say anything because my parents listen. My dad listens to this podcast. So, but I was at the university for a long time, and literally we were trained when we were in recruitment to say, don't exit because you'll never come back and you won't finish that goal.
Right.
We literally were told to say that over and over again to re-engage that student and make sure that they completed whatever it was. This is game changing when you're saying it's a continuum of life. Let's help you pivot to meet the demands of the moment you're in and that new goal that's evolved.
Right. So Dr. Don Simpson and I were talking not too long ago, and he is the Dean of the Health Sciences at ULM, and really creating safety nets and pockets for our students regardless of where they're at. So if they come to us and they want to move on, but something in life happens, we still create that transfer pathway for them. But what about the students who go to a 4-year university and never thought that a 2-year community college was a place for them? Who's
Or do they know that it
right?
existed at
Who's
all?
redirecting them? Who's helping them? So I think that we've got to retool how we speak. And it's really about a career path and career opportunities and where do you look on that career path and where do you see yourself? Because we all grow. I mean, I didn't think I would have been here 15 years ago,
Sure.
2 years ago.
Yeah, I started over a few times. So, just recently, actually.
Right.
So, but, all right, so I have multiple questions. But
Okay.
let's start with, though, so
Is my meter high? Like I'm at 11 yet?
No,
I need to know.
we're getting there, but I'm feeling it.
Okay.
So tell me about your conversation with parents, because parents seems to be one of the key drivers or key roadblocks.
So for me, it goes back when I was in Georgia and I was the registrar. I sat on multiple of our K-12 boards. So I was really a huge advocate, but I also had 3 kids in the K-12 school system. So I was not just speaking from a community college, technical college perspective, but as a parent.
Sure.
All of my children did dual enrollment. All of them got certificates or credentials at our school. They took welding. The boys wanted to do engineering, but I knew that fundamentally there are some aspects that if they could get in engineering and in welding and those concepts, it'll make them better in engineering. So our oldest one gets to Georgia and doesn't have to take 2 classes because he had taken something at the community college and was almost more proficient than the instructor there. Oh, that's huge. We got to talk about that. So as I'm talking to our parents, I used my own children as an example of where I put the importance. I think that it gave my children an opportunity to have a 2-year associate degree at almost no cost. And for Mary Logan, who is in graduate school, was able to graduate with that associate's degree and then only 1 year at the university at a higher price, and now she's in her master's and she's 22 years old. For my sons, they're not going to go that route. They're going to go into industry and go to work. They are using the skill sets that they got at the community college now in their jobs or at their jobs while they were paying for an additional pathway. We've got to talk to parents and to our students and let them know what the options are. What do options look like today? So if we've got a student who wants to become a nurse. Do you need to take 6 years or do you need to take 2 years? Both are great. But what do you want? What do you need right now? What do you need for your family? What do you need for your financial security?
Right.
What are your options? And so sharing with parents not just the financial relief that you can get from a community and technical college training, but the immediacy of job placement and creating financial wealth without financial debt. I think that's really key for people to understand that community college should not be a second thought. It should be a thought. I don't know that it's always the best choice, just like I don't believe a university is always a best choice. But it should be a real choice, and it should be something that is always in the equation based on what is best for that person.
That agreed. What a great answer. That was a great answer.
Can you feel the passion yet?
I can. You're getting there.
You're killing all my questions in my brain too. Like you're like talking points.
So I brought in a friend of mine who works at a local industry, and we began to talk about Louisiana Delta. And they were saying, well, we have plants here, and there was never, I don't know, do you know what the word NO means? No, you don't. Because every answer, we can do that. We can do that. Sure. And it was, the person I was with was just literally blown away. And it's such an asset to have your institution there.
I think what's more important, though, is I'm not just giving them a yes.
Right.
I can actually deliver a yes. For example, we had an industry partner who came to visit our campus today. They're from out of state, and they had all these questions regarding training. Can you do it short term? How long will it take? And finally, I just said, we customize it based on what your needs are. We can deliver what you need, the way you need it, when you need it, to the people you need it to be delivered to. Is that good?
We have an example right here in town.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, you did it with the Etheridges.
Right. And so knowing that you can have short-term customized training, but we have advisory councils, so any of our 2-year programs or less all have industry partners that serve on those advisory councils and can implement additional curriculum and changes. And we're a little bit more nimble than our 4-year partner schools because we also have a short-term training aspect that we can put it in, but we can embed it in our curriculum because we just have a little bit more freedom there. So being able to create those dynamics and working with our industry partners, that is what shifts opportunities for a region. That is how you create workforce dynamics because you're giving the industry what it is that they need. So when the employee walks out of the classroom, they're an employee. They're no longer a student. If we're only giving the employee or to-be employee what we think they need as a student, they remain a student.
I speak to this model. I mean, I've told this story 6 times today. It's that young guy that goes to a manufacturing facility that y'all facilitate a short-term training for, and now he's the only one in his family that can walk through Walmart and doesn't have to do mental audition because they're not on supplemental benefits.
Right.
Like he has food security now because of a career path that was short, that was tailored to the needs of the industry, and he just happened upon it. Game changer, generational game changer.
Well, and I think we're seeing that more and more with the MJ Foster Promise Plan. That will go into effect July 1st, and that is really for those that are 21 and over who have not received an associate's degree and are maybe not Pell eligible because they've exhausted all of their Pell funds. They can come back to school and they can either get short-term training or they can participate in one of our longer-term credit training programs. But it is really designed to put people back to work that are either underskilled, underemployed, unemployed, and give them a skill set where they can go to work. Because the fact is, if you can instill that in someone and give them an ability to go to work at not just living wage, but a high wage, high demand career where they have strong opportunities for growth, their families see that. Their friends see that, it becomes mimicked, and that becomes our new message. That's our new story.
It rises the tide for
It really does.
Absolutely it does.
And Dr. Esters, our chancellor, always says that for every one professional. So for your one doctor, for your
Right.
one CPA, you have 7 people who have an associate's degree, and you typically have 14 of those that are less than associate's degree. That's the world we live in. We don't want to compete with our university partners. I mean, we adore them, but we know that we're there to facilitate that workforce. And for so many of our students, they need that experience to be able to move on in that career path if they want to.
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, you're very passionate.
I am.
You're probably 12 now. but one of the things you're passionate about is our area.
Yes.
You're from Georgia.
I am.
You make no bones about that. You yell, "Go Bulldogs," and all that.
That's right.
But
We forgive her.
yes, we do. But why do you love our area so much?
So when I got here, I totally fell in love with y'all. I mean, I really did. Our story is kind of unique. I mean, we've lived here twice. I moved back on purpose. We moved here the first time we were in Atlanta, and we're going to be unemployed because his company got bought out. It's this itty bitty company. I think they call it Lumen now. And so we knew that we had a job opportunity. I loved it here. This is where my kids went to school. And when I had a chance to come back and make a difference, hands down, this is where I wanted
Isn't
to.
that great?
I wanted to really raise myself here. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I'd already
Yes.
raised my children, so now I'm here raising
That's
myself.
such a great answer.
So perfect ambassador for. We have
Yes.
the perfect balance of cost of living, great opportunities. We are the sportsman's paradise.
Absolutely.
You know, we plug into a rural area, but we have a symphony. We have all of those things. You know, Rory and I talk about it all the time. We try to go to 20% of the things, and we're booked up every
Right,
night.
every night.
Yeah. So
Now, there's this nut that kind of grows on a tree.
It's a pecan.
Chris, is that?
I'm struggling.
Yeah,
I'm struggling.
I
I'm
just
struggling.
wanted to get that out.
And so we'll change the topic awkwardly to avoid that, whatever that is. But no, so being a champion for our local workforce is important. So let's reflect for just a moment, though, on stumbling blocks. You know, you're making these big pronouncements about where we are, but let's give honor to what you all have overcome and the evolution for a minute. I don't want to get a little politics, but things have changed in
Absolutely.
workforce, and things have changed in technical college and higher ed, period. So
Correct.
let's reflect for a moment the last few years of that journey.
I think that if COVID hasn't taught us anything, it has taught us how to be nimble and rethink who we are. The community and technical college really was always quick to respond. That is always where new initiatives, new programs, new thought processes have always started. It just wasn't as publicized. Now it is becoming very well known that if you want to start something new and try it, and be successful, you start with a community and technical college. I think we also are in a different place today with our 4-year partners, and we are playing a critical role to feeding them and working with them. We're no longer being seen as someone that is either obsolete or not training the next generation in the next future. We really are seen at the forefront. And when you come into our facilities and you see some of the technology that we have, you really realize why that has changed. We have put a huge emphasis and a huge effort in being ahead of the game because we're working with our industry partners from the beginning. I don't know that that's always been the
no
case.
longer reactionary.
Correct.
Proactive into
Yes.
anticipating market demand.
And I think also different career paths than have been traditional for community and technical college. Those still exist, but there is a huge area as far as cybersecurity, automation, robotics, instrumentation, hydraulics, pneumatics. Y'all, we're looking at a couple of new programs, and I'm telling you, when I get to come back and talk to you, they're going to blow your socks off. I mean, like, this is cutting edge stuff. I mean, this is going to be on the front of the big paper.
Believe me, we believe
Right.
you.
And you know, my goal is, I've told you this from the very beginning. I only have one goal, and it's just for us to be number one.
Yep.
I just want our region to be number one.
Beautifully humble.
Just
Yes,
number
it
one.
is.
Just
Yeah.
number one.
I love it.
A wonderful goal.
Yeah, no, and this is why our community is excelling.
Yeah.
It's because we have people that are harnessing their God-given nature to rise above and lead through facilitation.
Oh, thank you.
That's pretty cool. But now, so we're anticipating the future.
Yes.
We're reacting. But Delta serves, it's not just Ouachita Parish.
No.
It's not just the adjacent parishes.
No.
It's a whole region. So just for a moment, let's talk about the challenge of that.
So we serve 11 parishes, 2,200 square miles. We have 8 campuses. We have 22 adult ed sites. We have workforce in all of those areas. And y'all, there's just one of me. I mean, so that's a lot.
Right.
But I'm very fortunate that we have.
One of you equals like 20
Well, yeah.
people.
Yeah.
But I think what is unique about Louisiana Delta Community College is that every person that works there really lives and breathes the mission of creating workforce opportunities for this region.
That's true.
And so regardless of which campus you go to, which program you're looking at, whether it's an adult ed program, a workforce program, a short-term training, a long-term training, a credit program, something that's been created specifically for industry that we've kind of transitioned over, everybody has that passion to create those niches for our communities that we serve. And we know that each one of them are unique and different and deserve different types of training programs for those business and industry partners. So that can become challenging. But if we have our business and industry partners at the table from the beginning, and we have our chambers and we have our local and our regional and economic representatives there, we can shift where we've been. And we're already seeing that happen. We're seeing growth, and we are seeing communities that have never gotten attention or love. New businesses are coming to those areas specifically.
Right.
It's getting good.
Yeah.
It really is. It's an
really
exciting
is.
time.
Yeah, and in a heavily agricultural region, there are some amazing job opportunities
Yes.
there. There are some amazing challenges on the
Yes.
future. We'll talk about those in the next episode. But you know what? Thank you for your enthusiasm.
You're so welcome.
You make my heart happy that we have someone like you in this community that's engaging and making sure that our brightest are not leaving,
Right.
that is giving voice and opportunity to people that maybe are disenfranchised in the rural parishes
Mm-hmm.
and don't perceive that opportunity. And the staff that's over there, the energy has changed at Delta
It
Community
really
College.
is. And y'all have to give a huge shout out to our chancellor, Dr. Randy Esters. He is phenomenal and has a heart for what he is doing and has really given me some of the leeway to run.
Right.
And then he has provided everyone there some leeway to run and make it possible. And that's huge.
And we've just revisited this topic over and over. We have great leaders in our community allowing people to use their gifts in the jobs that best fit them and giving them the humbleness to step back and go Wendi, go.
Yeah.
And I've got your back when you get there.
And
that's cool.
He helped you with your office, but we won't talk about that on this episode.
Okay, so I might have been a 15 and now I'm back to a 20. He had to keep me like muffled a little bit.
That's it. Hey guys, this has been Ouachita One Table, a podcast that does a deeper dive into business topics in our community. I'm Christopher Kelly with the West Monroe West Ouachita Chamber, joined as always with my good friend
Roy Heatherly with the Monroe Chamber of Commerce, and we have had a fabulous, fabulous time with Dr. Wendi Tostenson at Louisiana Delta Community College. Wendi, thank you.
Thanks y'all so much.
Yay!
You've been listening to Ouachita One Table with Christopher Kelly and Roy Heatherly. This podcast is a partnership project of the Monroe and West Monroe West Ouachita Chambers of Commerce and was produced by Godly Works Production in the Louisiana Catalyst Podcast Studios at the Benoit Community Center.